All right, we're here with Drill and Grill, where we talk Super Chef, and it's where teeth meets food, dentist meets chef. And I'm here with Cody Prickett from the Harrisburg Hilton, the Chef de Cuisine. What do you do? Are you responsible for everything that happens under the Harrisburg Hilton rooftop?
Yeah, so we have two restaurants here, 1700 Steakhouse, Ad-Lib Craft Kitchen, and I am in charge of kind of the day-to-day daily operations of the kitchen for both restaurants, from food prep, schedules, menu development, and just kind of training the team and making sure we serve the guests good food.
This is one of my favorite seats in the world because we are sitting right here in 1700, the steakhouse. First of all, explain to everybody what 1700 stands for, what that means.
Yeah, so the name actually comes from, so if you come in, you get a steak here. The steak is prepared in a broiler that is custom built and burns at 1700 degrees. So that allows us to get a char or a crust on the steak that you might not get anywhere else.
And that is amazing. What is like you go to a standard restaurant that's cooking a steak, what temperature are they cooking that at?
I would always recommend medium rare. Really, it depends on the steak though.
But how hot does their oven get? Yours gets 1700 degrees. How hot does theirs get?
I'm sure it varies, but I would say generally 600 would probably be an average.
So that's insane that you're like 3 times hotter than that.
Yeah.
Now, I think 1700 was named the best steakhouse in Pennsylvania a couple times.
That's correct.
Do you think that's that oven that's differentiating, or is it the chefs?
A combination of both. I think it's definitely the oven that kind of sets us apart and differentiates us. But also just we have a team that really focuses on taking things to the next level, setting ourselves apart. And it starts with how you come in the door, how we prep, pushing the envelope in terms of recipes, and just trying to do different things to keep the guests satisfied.
Now, you said you're kind of responsible for menu development. So what's your process there? Do you like to be creative? Are you given any sort of confines, or do you just go nuts and kind of hit or miss, you see what works?
It's a combination of creative, logistics, definitely try to keep it somewhat seasonal.
Okay.
But yeah, generally we'll have chefs meetings and we'll all kind of get together, executive chef, myself, the sous chefs, and we'll just kind of spitball some ideas, think about what's in season, what sells, and also what's kind of trending. With what's trending now, obviously we don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So that comes into play, but we'll sit down, we'll spitball ideas, test some recipes, and we'll go from there.
That's awesome. Do you like working with so much other talent? I know you have a really good team of chefs here.
Yeah, it's definitely huge. I started here about 3 years ago, and there is a lot of knowledge in the kitchen here. So that's definitely allowed me to be a sponge and also, provide my influence as well. So we're definitely a good group that has a lot of different perspectives to share, and we learn from each other. So,
that's awesome. What inspired you to be a chef? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Always loved cooking. So growing up, my mom cooked and my grandma cooked, and I was always kind of curious. I actually was more interested in baking and pastry as I was younger. I was always making cookies or brownies or something like that. But also, I think the love for the kitchen and the kind of the energy that you find in a restaurant. If you're from Harrisburg, the old Spot and the old State Restaurant. My mother was a server in both of those restaurants, and my grandmother, Joanne, worked at the Spot for I don't know how many years. And
the hot dog joint right here along.
Hot dog joint, yeah, Billy Cow Geese, and so I kind of grew up in that energy, and it kind of gets your blood flowing. So being around that as a young kid, and then kind of getting my first taste in a professional kitchen, I kind of knew you could just kind of feel it. So that's definitely where my passion comes from for it.
Well, for me, I feel like I'm sitting next to royalty here because I'm a hot dog connoisseur,
right.
Hot dog enthusiast. I have 6 hot dog rollers in my basement. So the Spot. Now, a lot of times you'd go to the Spot after going out at night and drinking.
Yeah.
So you'd have some kind of crazy chili dogs and all that kind of stuff. But that's so cool. I miss the Spot.
Yeah.
Favorite recipe from was there something your mom or grandmom used to cook for you that kind of resonates, brings back memories?
Yeah.
What do you think about there?
Growing up, we had a lot of casseroles. It was kind of the cheap, affordable way to make dinners.
Yeah.
Definitely something. I don't know if people are familiar with it. It's called chicken divan.
Okay.
So chicken, broccoli, cauliflower. My mom would use cream of chicken out of the can and stuff, but that's homey to me. I like taking those kind of memories and letting that inspire my food now and kind of elevating it. But definitely the chicken demand.
And it's certainly elevated. When you come into 1700 or Ablib, just great food. You mentioned kind of keeping things seasonal. Do you source some of your food locally?
Some of it. So we use, for our produce, we use Baldor and Ambrosi. Ambrosi's based out of New Jersey. And then obviously, like I said, for some of our proteins, we use 11 Oaks Farms and West Home Farms to get some of our steaks. So it's a combination of, obviously we like to use vendors that also have a variety of things available so we can keep the menu different. But definitely keep that in mind whenever we're generating menus and ordering things.
And 11 Oaks, that's where you get your Wagyu sometimes, right?
Correct.
So explain what Wagyu is and what makes a Wagyu steak so much better than just your run-of-the-mill.
So Wagyu, we get our Wagyu, it's based off of traditional Japanese standards, grading standards. And generally it's just a higher fat content and a much nicer and higher marbling. And that comes from how the cattle is raised, how it's fed, to get a more premium product that is, more tender, easier to eat, more flavorful. And it's really just the upper echelon of steaks that we offer the guests.
Nice. And you grew up in this area, correct?
Yes.
So if you know the Harrisburg restaurant scene a little bit, if you had to take out the Harrisburg Hilton, if you're walking out the door and you want to go out to dinner, do you have a favorite place, a favorite plate, a favorite meal in Harrisburg?
I truly don't go out too often.
You go home and eat those casseroles.
Go home and eat leftovers, but I would say my go-to is going to be any Spanish spot. Spanish food is definitely my favorite food to eat. I enjoy the flavors. It's slow cooking, developing flavors. Arepa House on 2nd Street is a good one.
Very nice.
But definitely any place that serves Spanish food. I also really enjoy the culture of Spanish food. So definitely I would say that.
Now this is your first SuperChef, correct?
Correct, yep.
All right,
Yep.
So you're excited. Now you mentioned when you were kind of coming into the whole restaurant thing, you kind of like the baking and the pastries. You get to do a dessert here.
Yes.
Are you excited about that part of it?
I am. I would say I'm most excited for the dessert. I miss doing desserts. We have a baking and pastry team here, but we still kind of collaborate, but we also let them kind of lead the way. So I'm excited to front load a dessert that is my vision. So yes, I'm excited for that.
So do you think there's anything that's going to differentiate you? Do you have a certain strategy or a certain ingredient or anything that's going to really kind of put you over the top? How are you thinking about this?
Familiar, but also unique. Dessert specifically, you'll see that both the entree and the dessert have a kind of Puerto Rican Caribbean inspiration. So I think it'll be fitting with the weather breaking. The dessert will be good, but it'll also be kind of light. And then some different techniques that I think will set me apart.
I love it. Doing these interviews, I'm getting these little teasers about what's coming. I'm getting hungry. I can't wait for SuperChef to get in there and kind of try all this kind of stuff. So you've probably heard about SuperChef. You might know some of the chefs that have done this and are going to be involved this year. Anybody that you think is out there that's going to be tough competition? I mean, do you have your sights set on anybody?
No, I'm more focused on what I'm going to do. I think it's all going to be tough competition. I think people are going to bring good food, have their game plans, but definitely more focused on what I'm going to do and executing that well.
Have you ever cooked? I mean, have you ever cooked for? I think SuperChef, you might have 400, 500, 600 people. Yeah. Have you ever cooked on that scale before?
Yes. So actually, when I started here at the Hilton, I started in banquets, or banquet land as we call it, and definitely do larger events. So it's definitely a different dynamic to it. But the importance of quality and presentation and taste and flavor are all the same, whether you're cooking for 2 people or 500 people. So I'll still be laser focused in that aspect, but it's still exciting.
And I know you're going to hit this out of the park, Cody. But have you ever had like a kitchen fail? Have you ever? Tell me what a kitchen nightmare looks like for you in the past.
They present themselves in different ways every night almost. It could be from not ordering a product and you don't find out until somebody's ordered in the dining room and you got to figure it out. It could be preparing a table's food and somebody drops something by accident. But the key is, in those moments, just having a solution-based thought process. There's almost always some way to figure something out to make sure that it doesn't affect the guest. But kitchen fails happen more than people probably realize. It's just how you adapt and still kind of get the job done. So,
do you ever have, like, are you ever cooking something you don't like to eat, or do you just love everything that you're putting out?
no,
Is there an ingredient or something?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like olives. Is there
Yeah.
something you don't like?
I do not particularly like olives actually as well.
So I'm not weird.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely food that I'm not necessarily fond of, but I think also when you pair it with different things, you can kind of make it bearable for me, but also so that the guests would love it. Olives is probably my biggest one actually, so we share that in common. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we dine together sometime.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do a little rapid fire here. Okay, first thing that kind of comes to your mind. Are you sweet or savory kind of guy if you're eating?
Sweet.
Gas or charcoal? Cooking
Charcoal.
in the backyard. All right. Hamburger or hot dog?
Hamburger.
Favorite drive-through food?
That's tough. Recently, Popeyes.
Oh, nice. I like that one. Favorite brand of hot dog?
Nathan's.
Favorite condiment?
Garlic aioli.
Ooh, you ever put any condiment on a steak?
I prefer not to, no.
Very nice. Do you get offended if somebody starts throwing the ketchup on there?
I asked them to take the first bite without it.
Oh, nice. I like that. Very good. Best chef of all time, your favorite chef?
I'm gonna go with that's a loaded one. This isn't rapid fire now. I'll go Marco Pierre White.
Wow. All right. Here's the last question. Did well on the rapid fire. This is the tough question. Set your table. You have 4 people that you could cook for, dead or alive. You know, somebody you knew, historical celebrity. Who are you cooking for? Who are you putting at this beautiful table here in 17?